Hello, hello, and welcome to another 2 Network match report with me, Adam. It's finished Bournemouth 2, Newcastle United 2. It was another game where we had a very, very good first half and weren't too bad in the second half, but ultimately we capitulated in the second half and we didn't manage to put the game to bed. There's a lot being said about blame. For me, it seems to be a recurring pattern, but let's get into it. Actually, before I start, I just want to mention a lot of you might have been aware that I'm sometimes part of the True Faith podcast team. But so if you check out it at TF Weekly Pod on Twitter, there's a Patreon page where you can sign up, and there'll always be a one free podcast for everyone, but there's also now a subscribers package where you get at least 2 to 4 extra podcasts brimful of Newcastle United content to keep you going throughout the entire week. We've got Premier League show, we've got Exile show, we've got the match preview on a Wednesday as well. There'll be more video content and everything, and this is all just for £1.25 a week, £5 a month. If you're like me, and I like to listen to some other football podcasts, and you might wait maybe 3 weeks for a little 2-minute snippet of Newcastle news on one of the national pods. If you want to just dive in to the Newcastle content immediately, get yourself signed up to True Faith, become a patron, and the link and everything is on at TF Weekly Pod. And you can catch me and the rest of the guys there across many shows, reviewing, previewing, debating, taking trips down memory lane, the whole shebang. There'll be some documentaries on there that you will not want to miss as well coming up. So please look out for that. Thanks for that. Anyway, back to the 2 Network. And the team itself largely picked itself, I think. Lejeune's performance kept Kieran Clark out the side. Dubravka as well, as you would expect, retained his place after what was a magnificent debut against Man United. You had Richie returning to his former ground, the Vitality, playing for Bournemouth, obviously, during the season that Newcastle got relegated. And with news of Slimani's injury being, I think, worsened this week, and he's going to be out for a couple more weeks, which is a huge blow because we really are running out of time when it comes to remaining games that we can have Slimani being effective in. And just as it so happens, I did a lot of research, wrote an article this week about how Slimani's type of play is going to improve Newcastle wholeheartedly. And obviously, kiss of death I've given him there, and he's completely got injured. But when he does return, and please check out my latest article, if you look on my Twitter for links as well, and on Facebook group, I talk about why Newcastle aren't scoring enough, and it's enough to say, I don't think it's enough to just say, oh, strikers aren't very good. And well, yeah, our strikers are limited, all of them are, and they're all culpable. Joselu, actually before the Bournemouth game, Joselu had a better strike rate than Gale. Gale might have changed that now. I haven't crunched the numbers yet. And the reason that the video is a little bit late is that I was away all weekend and I haven't got around to actually sitting down and getting out a video to you. So apologies for being late, but better late than never, I'm sure. But the way Islam Slimani is very much a box player, we can help focus attacks through there. And Newcastle very, very clearly having too many shots outside the box. And the chance of scoring from outside the box, far, far too long for the talent we have in the squad, which isn't massively Premier League quality. So a few things to iron out there. Rafa, if you're listening, you're welcome. So on to the Bournemouth game. I mean, I think before the game, and it seems a bit of a cop out to say this, but a lot of us would have taken a draw, and it's almost it feels like a sucker punch because of the manner of conceding those late 2 goals, and the way that we kind of just threw it away and had a chance to go 3-up, etc. But, you know, first off, that pass from Shelvey down the right hand, waiting for Richie. The way Richie drew in Charlie Daniels, pretending to go for the short pass, and he just turned. He knows what's happening. They've tried it in training. Shelvey's knocked the ball over. Richie's got acres of space to run into, and he flashed it across the 6-yard box. An absolute nightmare for Begovic. Begovic and the defender have sort of collided. Gale's been in there as well because, well, one of Gale's best attributes is his anticipation, and the ball sort of bundled around, and it's quite fortuitously dropped to Dwight Gale, and he's standing with his back to goal. He realises the ball's behind him, and he just impudently backheels the ball into an empty neck, looking at Asmir Begovic as he does so, and it's 1-0, and the travelling Newcastle support go mental, and it's a huge shock to sort of take the lead, and not only that, but to then take a 2-goal cushion in half time, and you know, we're in dreamland. Everyone on Twitter is posting screenshots of us being in the top half of the table. Well, thanks everyone, you jinxed it. But I think everyone was allowing themselves to get carried away because Bournemouth were horrific. I mean, we obviously set up to counter them, and that's what we do, and it was working very, very well, and we were very, very effective. And you know, I think that it was very, very clear the two strategies going into having seen the game is, you know, Bournemouth really looked to get a lot of crosses in, and if you noticed it, I found they seemed to target a lot of our right hand side, their left hand side. So they kind of targeted Yedlin over Dummett, which is quite interesting because, I mean, we'll get on to their goals in a little bit, but it seems that they were intent on asking questions of our back four and our goalkeeper, and we were intent on allowing to soak up that pressure and then bursting on with pace. Now, Kennedy didn't seem to have the most effective game. When Atsu came on, I thought he seemed a bit more lively, getting involved with a lot of things, and he's just got that direct pace. Another former Bournemouth player, albeit on loan. And obviously Richie had extra incentive to work, and I've already mentioned Gale's, you know, his anticipation, and for the second goal, you know, Perez found himself at the back post, and it was Paul Dummett, who has a lovely technique with his left foot, and he does try this a few times, but I think Richie just knocked it to him, involved again, and Dummett sort of whipped this very deep, dangerous ball into the back end of the 6-yard box, and whether the sun was in defenders' eyes or not, I don't know if that was having an impact, but Perez has fizzed across another very dangerous ball, very similar to position to where Richie was, and it's kind of gone behind Begovic, and he's let it slip through, and Gale's just at the back post and just taps in, and it's just too easy. And Bournemouth fans must have been going livid with that, because the goalkeeper, you can make one bad mistake in a game and it's anomalous, but to make two, and you really start asking questions of what was going on, and maybe the sun was hampering him, who knows, but did he get a cap? I don't know. So I don't know, and I don't know whether it was just a very, very poor performance defensively from Bournemouth to allow us to gain that 2-goal advantage. But going into half time, and you think, right, well, we just need to keep it steady, do what we've been doing, sitting back, springing on the attack, and that's largely kind of what we tried to do. I mean, there were probably fewer chances in the second half. Notably, it was the free kick. I think Atsu was brought down, and Gale on a hat-trick's gone up to take it. Maybe suited a left footer more, but he bundled into the wall, and Perez is sort of in ahead of defenders, and all he has to do is just nick it, and I think he's trying to use his body weight to get to muscle out the defenders, but you know, that's strength isn't exactly his forte, and he just didn't get a clean connection, and he's just sort of like almost like pushed it with his foot, and it's just gone over. So that was a really good chance, I thought, and I'll mention that simply because match of the day were very scrutinous of John Joe Shelvey. We'll get on that a little bit. And John Joe Shelvey's miss wasn't the only miss that we had. So that was a chance to really put the game to bed as well. But I think going into the move for that Shelvey chance, which came in about, you know, I think it was just before they scored, probably about the 79th minute, 78th minute. And Perez, who I thought was his movement was really good throughout the whole game. Him and Gale working well together, and tireless, and his little flick through for Atsu's run. And Atsu does everything right, and Ake puts Shelvey off enough, and Shelvey really should put his foot through it. Him and Gale should have scored those to take us into 3-0, and we would have been out of sight. But then for that last 10 minutes, Bournemouth just rallied themselves, and the fans started to believe, and suddenly it was, you know, an absolute onslaught. And you know, Newcastle have fallen for this, and we must have conceded so many at home, particularly in the last sort of 10 minutes, where we've just failed to finish off chances and convert those chances, and allow the opposition to grow in confidence and believe that they can get something out of it. And that's exactly what Bournemouth did. Jermaine Defoe came on, and I think a lot of people were probably thinking it'll be typical that he gets the goal, but as it happens, it wasn't. It was Adam Smith, who I believe had come on for Daniels, and Daniels was really impressive actually. It's the previous fixture at St James's Park. He really impressed me, and he's very rangy kind of fullback, very odd. He's obviously a winger come fullback, but he's a very tricky player, wins a lot in the air. He's got a great left foot on him as well. But obviously getting done for that opening goal, whether that had anything to do with him being hauled off, you can only presume that. So Adam Smith came on, and you know, match of the day have highlighted how Shelvey didn't run back in. I mean, for me, Smith wasn't really Shelvey's man at that point. I think he was Richie's man, right winger, left back, and Richie doesn't get tight enough to him. But even then, I'm not going to fully lambast Richie there, because it was just a quite spectacular strike, very unexpected. I mean, you've seen the reaction of Dubravka. It sort of seems like it's close to the middle of the goal, but it just completely takes him by surprise. And it's a fantastic finishing off the bar. I think that's a bit of a freak. It was kind of a similar position to Coutinho scoring at St James's Park back in November. And should he have been closed down faster? Yeah, probably. Should the keeper have done better? Maybe, yeah. Possibly. But was it just a very good strike as well? Yes. But I think the timing of that, and the fact that we'd missed a couple of chances, and the fact that, you know, our defenders had to deal with a lot of balls, clearance-wise, our clearances were quite significant. I mean, looking at the crossing, Bournemouth had 38 crosses to our 7. So you kind of see exactly what they were trying to do. We had 53 clearances to their 16. So the whole game was them pumping the ball into the box and us trying to just knock it out. And after that first goal from Bournemouth, things started to get really panicky, and I think you could feel the tension. You almost expected them to score, and when they did, it wasn't any surprise. And it was really, it's such a sucker punch, because as Newcastle fans, we're now conditioned to, unless you've got a 2-goal cushion, anything can happen, and anything could happen, and that's what we did. We threw it away. And they just credit to them for getting their game up, because they were appalling in the first half, and it took probably a lot of character for them to respond in the way they did. Again, the final balls come from their right hand side. This is kind of the area where Adam Smith scored the first, and where the cross came in for Gosling. Now, again, a match of the day. Lampard making a lot about Shelvey, and basically what he's done is he's come at the edge of the box. He's made a couple of tackles, but he's done the criminal thing of stopping, and even worse, got his hands on his knees as if he's, you know, bent over, double, exhausted. I mean, it was an error to stop running. You absolutely shouldn't stop running in that situation. You should get back into the box, and we want bodies flying everywhere. That's what we want. But at the same time, he wasn't solely to blame for that goal going in. Not by a long shot. If you watch the goal again, there are 3 Newcastle defenders at the front post, and you've got Gosling. You've got Gosling at the back, completely unmarked, and he just foots it past Dubravka, who he hasn't got a hope. And I think at that point, the fact that a cross had come from the right and then from the left, and we were just pinball. We were everywhere. It was chaotic defending. It was the worst time, and it really undid a lot of very, very good defensive work throughout the game. I thought Lascelles was particularly good. He was commanding. Could he have given away a penalty earlier in the game? I'm going to say no. I mean, obviously the penalty wasn't given. He went in it was maybe I wouldn't say even reckless challenge, because I don't think he really caught the man. He went for a challenge fair and square. He didn't get the ball, but then I didn't even think the Bournemouth player did, and I don't think there's enough in there for a penalty. So I think the right decision was made there. Bournemouth might feel aggrieved. Bournemouth might also feel aggrieved that during one of the big chances that Dubravka he got kind of concussed from John Joe Shelby battering into it. And I mean, there's John Joe Shelby doing the defensive work that Match of the Day were hell-bent on showing what he wasn't doing, but they didn't show and highlight actually the defensive work he did, and he was back on the line there defending that attack. So I'm going to lay off John Joe Shelby. He knows, yes, he could have scored, but then neither did Perez. Yes, after those 2 tackles at the edge of the box before our goal, he could have should have got back. However, I honestly don't think that would have made a difference, because he wouldn't have been marking the guy that wasn't being marked by the 3 players inside the box in the first place. So whichever way you look at it, it's not down to John Joe Shelby. It's a team effort, and the entire team conspired to throw that away with missed chances and chaotic defending in the last 10 minutes. And we panicked, and we just allowed the pressure to get to us, and Bournemouth had nothing to lose, so they were just on. It was the onslaught. And yeah, so 2 goals coming from that right hand side, Yedelin's side. Whether that was an intentional ploy by Eddie Howe or not, I'm not too sure. But I mean, the stats were as you would probably expect. I mean, to be honest, it was a very, very even game, and looking stats wise, we only had 37% of possession, so we were a lot more efficient with it. But they had 18 shots with 5 on target. We had 15 and 4. So, I mean, to have 15 shots away from home is with only 37% possession is pretty impressive, to be honest. But again, it's the shots on target. We should have tested Begovic more, particularly when he'd made 2 errors in the first half, and you think he's not on his game today. At Shelby's or Perez's shot being on target, or Kennedy's shot not barged down and deflected wide, if we'd managed to test Begovic a lot more, then he might have been prone to throwing another goal away. So it's difficult to try and stay positive, but after a couple of days of reflection, I think it's important we didn't lose that game. I think looking at the table, we are sort of in a similar position to where we started before the game. I mean, looking at the results, Swansea got battered, and I called that their good run would come to an end, and it's done so in spectacular fashion. 4-1 away to Brighton. Southampton can only manage a draw with Burnley. West Ham got smashed out of Liverpool, which is really good. Huddersfield beating West Brom. I mean, I think that pretty much isolates West Brom completely. I think that's them completely gone now. We could have done with Huddersfield only getting a point there. Watford have started to pull away closer to Everton up the top half of the top half of the bottom half. And of course Stoke didn't get a win against Leicester. That was a 1-1. So I think results were fairly kind, given that we threw that away. But it depends how you want to look at it, guys. If if you want to look at it half full or half empty, we've wasted a great chance to pull away from a lot of teams that didn't win. On the flip side, we're still 2 points above the relegation zone. We're still about 15th. I mean, it almost doesn't matter what position we're in when the team's that tight. I mean, we are now 4 points off Watford in 10th. A win there would have taken us above Bournemouth, but they stay 3 points ahead of us. And yeah, we're 2 points ahead of Swansea, who fall back down into the relegation zone. Southampton escaped the relegation zone on goal difference. So I mean, it's all to play for. Next, we've got Liverpool. That's going to be a very, very difficult game. Saturday night, it's on TV, so I'll probably expect us to capitulate. But let's hope not. Let's hope we exploit some of their defensive frailties, because they definitely have them. When they're free flowing and scoring, they're almost impossible to play. But if you get in there early and help ruffle their feathers, like the game that we played at St James's Park, the atmosphere was fantastic. Shelvey had a great game that game. Hossley got a very fortunate goal, and they only managed to score from a fantastic long range effort from a man who doesn't play for them anymore. So I think we've got a chance to get a point. We're likely to concede a couple, given their talent, but we've got one of the best defences in the Premier League, and certainly like top half standard defensive solidity. So there's a chance there, but I mean, I think the big games that we need to look forward to, obviously we've got Spurs away in a few weeks after that, but basically we have Southampton at home and Huddersfield at home, and they're the games that you need to be penciling in 6 points. We need 4 points from those two games, because we're running out of games that are winnable. I still think we don't need to panic yet. I still think we're okay, but I think we need to definitely get results in those two games. They're huge, because I think 2 wins there might even pretty much seal our survival. I think it's that crucial. But we'll see. We'll see what comes of it. But I think, could you get annoyed at the manner of the defeat? Absolutely. Is it John Joe Shelvey's fault alone? No, absolutely not by a long shot. Man of the match performance, Dwight Gale. I think his anticipation was excellent. Scored at crucial times, and his and Perez's chemistry and work rates are really invaluable to this Rafa Benitez side. Thought Lascelles was pretty good. Lejeune was steady as well for most of the game, given the amount of headers they were winning and clearances they were making. Thought Atsu and Perez showed good energy. Shelvey, I think we saw a bit of a mixed performance, but altogether it wasn't a bad performance altogether. It was just that last 10 minutes that I think sort of warped how well we did, because for 80 minutes we were absolutely on top and absolutely comfortable and cruising. But that's football, and that's why we love the Premier League, because it is a complete mixed bag. You never know what you're going to get. Liverpool next. Let's hope we can get something from it, because it's always a special fixture. But we just need to get points on the board, and we might be looking to St James's Park for the next 2 fixtures there. Anyway, thanks very much for watching and listening. Apologies for the delay in broadcast, but hopefully it's been worth it, and you've got your weekly 2 Network fix. Please check out my article if you have a look at the links on Facebook and Twitter, and give us a follow there. Subscribe on iTunes and SoundCloud as always, or if you watch the videos, get subscribed on YouTube as well, and tell all your friends, get retweeted, get sharing. Really appreciate the support, appreciate the comments, it means a lot. Anyway, I've been out on the 2 Network. Also head over to @TFWeeklyPod and get subscribed on the Patreon there for loads of Newcastle content that I'm going to be involved in as well, and all the other guys' shows as well, because there's some fantastic comment and reaction and debate on there. It's really good. So I think if you're a Newcastle fan, get yourself over there. Thanks very much everyone. Bye, bye.